Wonderful Nigerians and fans of Living Television. I am glad you're still there. You're welcome again on another wonderful edition of Issues of the Moment today, and I am sure you're going to enjoy this episode because our wonderful analysts are here in the studio with me. Today we'll be looking at Abia State's inauguration of Task Force for ASEPA in Abazo, and also the 30 billion naira meant for Port Harcourt Road in N130 as commented by the former commissioner. Also, the Minister of Budget has said that it is difficult for Nigerians federal government to pay salaries as a result of shortened finances. And also, finally, the 130 million SUV meant for House of Representatives, Federal House of Representatives. These are many more we'll be looking at today. And from my far left, as usual, I have Barrister Chukwuemeka Nwogu. Barrister Chukwuemeka Nwogu is a security consultant, first and foremost, a practicing lawyer here in Aba, and also a public affairs analyst. Barrister, welcome to the program.
Thank you, moderator, and good day, viewers.
Another one by his side is also an analyst you will also love to know much about. He is Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi. Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi is a historian. He's a political affairs analyst. He is also a public affairs analyst. And above all, he crowns it with a tele-evangelist. Comrade, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me this great afternoon. Good day, viewers.
All right. Today, we are starting with Abia State. I'm sure there is no person in Abia State that has not heard much about the ASEPA. The new task force has been inaugurated to take care of Aba environment, Aba in ASEPA. And then they have been urged not to tout as the past ones we had experienced. These ones are just meant to gently approach people and make sure people are paid. But they worry. And thus, is this ASEPA everywhere in Aba? Because I know in my area I've never seen them walk around there. We have now private people who do away with most of these debris in various houses and so on. And now we are talking about ASEPA, they've inaugurated. Council, you live in the urban city, and then I don't know how this ASEPA has affected your area in the positive or in the negative.
Well, I live, as you rightly said, almost in the heart of Aba. And because of that, I am one of those who benefit from the effort made by all past administrations to ensure that visitors don't see refuse. I am choosing my words carefully. I didn't say keeping the place clean, but ensuring that visitors do not see the refuse. Because I say so because sometimes the refuse is also used to block the drains. Once visitors are not seeing the refuse, no problem. You can put it in somebody's private residence, no problem. You can cut it away, no problem. Anything. Because I don't understand the situation where the ASEPA people come around, let's say, 10, 11 in the morning, up till about 1, 2. When most families who generate the refuse, the members have either gone to school or gone to work. We are here, for example, and you see their usually old, dilapidated vehicles, not well maintained, driving slowly past, and somebody will be ringing a bell. You're inside watching TV. If these people who supply darkness have not supplied darkness and you are lucky to have light that day, you're watching telly even if you're at home, and you don't even hear the bell being rung. So the point I am making is that the way we dispose of refuse is still as if we're in the 14th century, not even 16th century. It's really sad. We've not yet got it. The only person on record that has ever been able to address that problem in a modern and holistic way was Chief Sambakwe of blessed memory with his Sulo initiative. Nothing anywhere in Nigeria. I stand to be contradicted. I've toured out of the 36 states in Nigeria. I can proudly tell you that I visited close to 30, and I can proudly tell you that I have not seen refuse disposal being tackled with such initiative as Chief Sambakwe did. Then you're talking of a task force. I'm worried. Whenever I hear task force, as somebody who resides in Aba, I get worried. It's as if usually the only people that can fit into that description are the touts. They are the only ones. Just get, some apron, all these yellow, green, orange colored apron, and put it on them. And then all hell is let loose. They wear canvas with gin and start chasing people about. All they are interested in the past had always been, they will come by January and serve you a notice to pay for refuse disposal for January to June. They will serve it in January to June. That's what the demand notice will be asking for. And of course, they have not done anything. Refuse have not been evacuated. Almost all the people who live in the town make their own private arrangement with these private refuse contractors who bring carts and take the refuse away. Or you tell people residing at Azikiwe by, let's say, mosque. No, that is even close. Azikiwe by churches. That there is a receptacle kept at Azikiwe by Asa. They have to trek to that place to go and dispose of refuse. It is very funny. When you now refuse to pay, they come at, let's say about 5:36 a.m. usually, that unholy hour, and hang around your entrance. Once you people open the gate, they pounce on any living thing they see, any being they see coming out from that premises, grab the person, and head to Cameroon barracks. For Aba, it is usually Cameroon barracks, the Ndiegoro barracks. Dump people there. You don't even know who has taken your word. A child, a minor. You start touring all the police formations in Aba. Finally, you locate the person at Cameroon barracks. And the police will tell you, no be we hola. But the person is being detained in their facilities. No be we hola. And where is the court order? None. Okay, charge the person to court. No way, the person will just be detained there until you pay. You pay whatever it is they have demanded, whether backed up by law or not. And then the Aba mentality, settle. The extra one, you settle. A member, let's say you are dealing with a premises that has 6 flats. One child from one of the flats has been arrested. It is now up to the parents of that child to go about. The other tenants will be going about their business. So the point I want to make, I needed to give some background to this. Otherwise, people wouldn't know where I'm coming from. It is not in inaugurating task force. No, we've always seen them. Task force in Abia usually means tout. It's another name for them. No matter how you say that, they will tell you that, Oga, you can't do this job with normal people. It is only the touts that can do it.
Yes.
So, task force has always been about touts. It's a good description for them that task force. Then they will put something close to what you're having there, the ID card, not your own, but something like that. be displaying it, they'll be going about harassing people. So this time around, I expect that the government should give them job description, specify what they are there to do. What are their limitations? Are they the enforcement for purposes of catching people only, or also monitoring to ensure that when they get information or see places where refuse is kept that shouldn't be there, they report back so that it will be evacuated, not just to catch people and create nuisance all over the place.
All right, comrade.
Yes.
You live in Aba also, exactly. Talking about this new task force and what we had experienced before now, just like Council recounted. So what's your take on this?
I don't even know whether there is anything to add to what Council has said. Yes, because we live in this city where the problem has always been environment, and I've always said environment is man's first wealth and man's first friend. You started relating to life on the basis of environment, and unfortunately we've not been able to maintain certain level of environmental discipline. It's been about environmental degradation, then abuse and even violation, to the extent that we have actually lost a lot. And then I think I have always said this here, it's not in giving them, it's not in this baptism government does every time, it is in oppression. You understand? And that's why I said I don't even know what I want to add to what Council has said. You see, I did say the other time, if you call yes, if you call it Aleta on when it is still that lizard. Yes, it remains that creature. And I wouldn't know the level of orientation that was actually given to this one before this induction. You have to give them orientation. You have to also train them to understand, one, human rights, two, citizenship. These two things are very vital. Citizenship, that you don't have any right to harass your fellow citizen. You understand? Because you are looking to have them pay a certain fee. Then you begin to physically abuse or torture them or even violate their rights. Two, you also have to talk about the fact that rights are also to be protected. Council has talked about it here, the way the police had actually become actualizing agent of detention and the extortion of people who may not be complying with this thing. But I know that at a point there was a litigation that happened. Council would actually put that in proper perspective, bringing some of these things, some of these charges, you understand, to a halt. But government will always continue to do it. But what I want to say is this: I do not want to see any longer things being done the same way. Now we are hearing that in fact, when this government was nearly sworn in, the government of Alex Oti, there was that understanding, even though it was not proclaimed or pronounced, that he will be ending the era and the regime of the so-called touts. Yeah. But now I am hearing, in fact, I've seen, not that I'm hearing, they are there all over the place, that they have been reinstated.
Go to Constitution now, near fire service.
Now the assumption, just like we've had them before, name them the Timas and the rest of them, the cry is now sympathetic that they have been put out of job. But I think the government should be creative enough for alternative economic levels. But then there have to be guidelines, operational guidelines, how they operate, the extent they will not go, the extent they will go. And also, like as you said, they should contribute to ensuring environmental discipline. Not only to go after lawbreakers, you understand, or those who have not paid, but at the same time to make sure that the environment is clean, even if they are not going to be positioned at the receptacles or strategic places, but they should also ensure that they contribute by maybe calling the evacuators and then even if the scavengers and then others.
Let the services be commensurate to whatever the amount.
Yes.
Okay, Council, let me come to you, because I think I was once a victim of this. The way you narrated this thing, in fact, I was somehow shocked, because one of the days they visited our down there in Fox Road, And then whatever happened, my daughter was just coming out from that. This one is not even staying at the gate. They climbed up, stood at various entrances in those flats.
Yes.
My daughter was just coming out in the staircase.
So that it's like where you're hunting for rabbits, a wita.
Lock one hole and wait at the other.
My daughter just came out with her nightgown.
And they grabbed her.
Just like that. But the most unfortunate thing was that they took her to Isioma police station.
You were lucky. Not Cameroon Barracks.
Not Cameroon Barracks this time. Just that one of our brothers, that's my local government now, asked, "Are you not the son of the daughter of so and so?" She said, "Yes, she is." That was now when they called. By then we had gone to Cameroon Barracks.
The usual place.
They said
the famous Cameroon Barracks.
So then we got there. Well, it didn't cost me much because the local government chairman there is my brother and so on. That was when Kamalu was there. But who brought this person and so on. So what we're saying in effect is that we prayed such a thing will repeat this time. And then what I want to ask you before we go over to something else, in situations like that, is that not abuse of fundamental human right? Because the government is involved, must everybody keep quiet in situations like that?
Well, in Nigeria, we have all been cowed into a position of abandonment. We are resigned. No matter what happens, nobody speaks against ill being done by any person, especially those in government and those that are in religious positions. If the ASEPA people will also remember to protect the environment against noise pollution by churches, especially at night, that is, if you go and check their law, that is part of what they are supposed to do. But when you speak out, people will say you are fighting God. Our religious leaders are now God. They are the God that we see, not gods. They are now the God that we see. So yes, there are remedies. In my profession, of course, you say, you be juice, you be remedy. Where there is a right, where there is law,
there is remedy.
There is a remedy provided, and you can enforce your fundamental rights. The problem is that sometimes, of course, litigation it drags out. Along the line, the people get weary and abandon the claim. That is, it discourages prospective litigants, I agree. So that is one downside to it. Furthermore is that many times the courts pronounce the actions of the state actors unlawful, deprecate it. Many times that is all the court will do. Sometimes, depending on your claim, the court goes further to award monetary compensation. Again, it is not in using the tumbler, glass cup, to give the monkey water to drink. When the monkey has finished drinking,
how do you get the cup?
How do you retrieve the cup? So levying execution is also a great challenge. It's not the fault of the judiciary. Before people will start blaming the legal profession, no. It is the state of our laws. People don't even know that before you can impound government property in the course of levying execution to recover a judgment debt, that you have to get the consent and approval of the Attorney General. The man against whom you went to court and got judgment, you now get his approval before you levy execution, before you can go and collect something from him, something in the custody of government. It doesn't matter which government. If you get judgment against local government, before you levy execution, you have to get the approval or consent of the Attorney General of the state before you do. And of course, he will never give you. You are in possession of that paper. I've gotten judgment against you for that paper and I want to collect it, but I need your approval. So people should also be pressing for law reform in the right direction. Honestly, our laws are archaic. We should also work towards holding government accountable. I've always advocated for consequence. We lack consequence for virtually everything we do. You wake up at night, you disturb people, no consequence, and so others continue doing it.
All right, before we go on a very short break, let me start with you, comrade. Recently, I think that was last week, the Port Harcourt route that has made much, remember the past administration destroyed buildings and so on, and even expanded the route, and then it was abandoned. The current administration have started, in fact, we'll see, if you go around there, you will see Julius, I think that's the name, Julius Bega's, sign to show that they are taking care of that place. But the amount quoted for it, some people are not happy with it. The immediate past, the past administration, the one-time commissioner for trade, and also one-time commissioner for information, John Oki Carlo, said that is billed for 30 billion naira, and that is a whooping sum to do such a job.
Okay, thank you so much. I think I'm somebody who believes in transparency, due diligence, and then due process. Yes, the state of Port Harcourt Road is deplorable. In fact, it's worrisome. And I know that to fix that road, it will cost billions. But I'm not here to give a certain projection as to whether it will be up to 30 billion or less than that amount. But I don't know how people sometimes, there is that saying that if you must remove the speck in someone's eye, you must first remove the law in your own. I followed this administration, the past administration, when this man was the former commissioner for information. I remember the outing we had at Hotel de Golf, and they promised ambience. And I asked the question that I said, what is in fact I said, about people, what are they known for? They said trade. And I asked, why will a sitting government demolish the most strategic two markets at the same time? They also quoted billions. They even brought out one man saying they have given him contract, and they were there going against the law of appropriation, telling people who are interested in contracts to come and meet that man. I'm talking about government. So now, Port Harcourt Road is a road that is symbolic to me. I passed through Igbo National High School, a school built by Igbo State Union. It was built by the Igbo State Union.
Comrade, that place is now the biggest refuse dump.
Yes, I know. It has a two-story sized. Yes, my I did a story. I did a story that actually ran online. Old boys touch us right to a dying alma mater. My story with Barrister Dudu, another old boy. Two of us visited the school and we did that story and it ran. And I want to say this, you see, Port Harcourt Road before now used to be a very strategic road. It is a road connecting Alibo to the south-south. It is a road that, within that stretch, you have at intersection, Ahyohon, Ngwa Road, Cemetery Road. Exactly. Then, going backward, you have Aloji, Asanmentu, Udemani, Caterpillar spare parts. You have ancillary tools dealers, you have fabricators, you have paints, you have shoe industries, you have Crystal Park Hotel, you have Concord Hotel, you have a lot of things there. Even the Coca-Cola used to be there. Coca-Cola used to be there. Yes, Sapanda, they used to be there. But due to negligence, and it started from in the mid-90s. Then we went to democracy in 1999. The government that served first was just doing patchwork. Then the one that followed after him did nothing. It became a total state of collapse. A very strategic road like that. Then came the last administration. They promised to do it. They approached the World Bank. The World Bank advanced, I think, $56 million, then totaling 27 billion naira. And they said they will be fixing Port Harcourt Road, Ngwa Road, Oboya Road, and then the Orata. We are now flooding, or flood has actually taken over buildings that landlords and tenants have actually deserted. Now, they said they will be doing those roads. They collected this, but then there is something I also have to say. before the next phase of the loan is given, there is what they call certificate of no objection. The World Bank will say, I am not objecting, you have done the work well. Now, the first phase could include things like maybe building canal or gutter. The governor trying to do this, or the past administration trying to do this, the first many buildings, the ditch they tried to build there, they didn't even cover it. And then everything was in the state of total. I'm talking about the road that will give the southeast connection, an economic artery, yes, an economic nexus, arterial road that will boost the GDP of the state. And the successive government had left it like that. Now, if you try to calculate what 27 billion naira was by 2017, when the last administration assessed that fund or part of it or anything, you see that 30 billion naira is even, I'm talking about in terms of dollars, which are going to use to pay these people or something like that. You literally see that it is now what, if in fact, we are talking about when Naira was about 400 Naira, and now talking about when it is about 1,100 something. Yes, so I wouldn't
How
know.
much?
1,155 Naira. I don't like.
As at when? As at
yesterday.
2 days ago, 1,000.
I'm talking about yesterday, 1,155 Naira. You understand? And we don't know what the FX market will close at today. What the foreign exchange market is closing.
I think they should just
so I think
make it $1 to 10,000 naira.
I think
so that we wouldn't hear it is increasing every
I
day.
think mine own is this. Governor Oti said they are going to build that road in 18 months. That's where I'm interested in. After 18 months, and the story is the same, I am going to be the first. In fact, I will lead the vanguard of critics. You understand? To challenge or to even question that. But for now, I want to see them, because fixing Port Harcourt Road, I have to say this, you don't just build road alone, you have to fight and mitigate flooding. By way of what? There was this equipment, the last administration still said they were importing. Tunnel boring machine, TBM, that they were importing. Then we asked the question, what happened? They said it was COVID-19. After COVID-19, they now said it was NSAS. After NSAS, they will tell you it's lockdown. After lockdown, they will tell you, oh, it was the red and the Hamatan.
And the cashless.
And the cashless policy, you know.
Okay, Council, yes, you are an Abian, and then talking about this. And also you've been a local government chairman, so you know what these things, you know, when you talk about appropriation of bills and so on, and then talking about 30 billion naira.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds because that load has lingered, and then I'm sure it's not enough for any person to use it against the populace, and that's exactly what Oki was saying. So,
I am not going to challenge or question the figures, especially something that I am not completely at rest with. I wouldn't challenge the figures, whether it is too high or too low. No, that's not the area I would go to. But what is important is that the Igbos have a saying, no matter who is my mom's concubine, let me have a handful of the rat heads. So no matter who is doing it, the last administration of Governor Ibazu came, they started well on that road. Aba people gave them a lot of support when they started what they were doing there. Unfortunately, that momentum was blown. It was squandered. And that is why you now have what you have there today. We are having stories. We are tired of the stories and the explanations. No matter who is fixing it, that is the essence of the proverb I gave. No matter who is fixing the road, let that road be fixed. No matter the amount, let it be fixed. I am not questioning the amount because I don't know. I don't know what it entails. Some work, no doubt, had been done on the road. We must also concede that. Some preparatory measures, construction of the drain, priming and everything, maybe all gone bad again. They might have to start afresh. But no matter what is happening, whether it is Julius Berger or whatever, leg construction, let them fix that Port Harcourt. That is my own interest.
All right.
When it is done, then they can now come and start defending the figures.
The figures, yes. And I think too,
For
when
now,
they pass the
I'm
budget,
not
Abians don't always inspect, just like Council was saying, demand accountability. You see, nobody knows the road to planning office where the budget is articulated. You understand? And we don't even ask questions based on FOI, Freedom of Information Act. You place an FOI request. The government will avail you or do the document. You can now begin to do what? Interrogate any numbers or any figures you feel are not in harmony with your own knowledge or your own assessment of the whole thing.
All right, wonderful viewers. We're going to go on a very short break. When we come back, issues of the moment will continue. Keep watching Living TV. We'll be back shortly. Don't go away. Our great viewers, I'm glad and happy that you are still there watching your favorite television, and our program Issues of the Moment is all still going on. Moving forward, the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Atiku Bagudu, has said that Nigeria is going through a financial crisis and that the federal government is just managing to pay salaries. And looking at this, and then shortly before that, the House of Representatives has confirmed that the National Assembly is in the process of procuring and distributing Prado SUVs, sports utility vehicles, worth 30 million naira for lawmakers.
What?
130 million,
130
million naira per SUV for the lawmakers. And then, Council, let me start with you. Now, as at yesterday, the Minister for Budget and Planning, National Planning, Atiku Bagudu, had cried, lamented that the federal government is managing to pay salaries because of the nature of the economy. And yet, shortly before then, the House of Representatives have confirmed that their SUV will soon be delivered at 130 million.
160 million.
Well, what I read I had is 130.
Okay, between 100 and 200.
Between 100 and 200 million, yes. And then that is also the try. I'm sure here there was a time people talked about costing down cost of governance,
yes.
And then with what is happening now. So why is the federal government lamenting?
The federal government is lamenting, and do not forget that that is the executive. They are complaining because the SUVs are not coming to the executive. The SUVs are going to the legislature. That is why you are hearing the executive lamenting. Apart from that, these SUVs are to be imported. If our brother, Innocent, is to deliver the SUVs, because his own vehicles, if you've seen them, are also of international quality and standard. Everything. If he's to deliver it, some middlemen will be cut off. You wouldn't pay for cost. You wouldn't pay for insurance. You wouldn't. You wouldn't pay for insurance and freight. You would only pay for cost, and the cost, of course, is going to be minimal. Some of those middlemen that stand between the producer and the end user will be cut off, because the end user will supply directly, and you might get those vehicles instead of, let's go by your own assessment of 130, even though I am sure I read either 150 or 160 somewhere.
Yes, I read 160.
Yes. If we go by that, Innocent may supply at even 50 million or less. I can tell you that if you approach him, he would supply at less. Question: the man complaining, doesn't he have his own SUV? I mean, what is his name?
Bagu.
Yes.
Bagu.
I saw a clip of the almighty Minister for FCT with his entourage arriving, is it for work or somebody or somewhere? That is, I'm talking of former Governor Wike.
Yes.
Displaying pomp and pageantry. Just the convoy alone. The petrol meant for those vehicles in that convoy, if you save them, the cost will go to pay some salary. If you cut down on the number of in-laws and outlaws, details and everything that were accompanying him, it would help. And that is like that for virtually every minister. I am not happy that the person complaining is the minister for budget and planning. I'm not happy, because I will call that one bad belly. Clear bad belly. I will only not view it as bad belly if he shows us that he is riding, he and his colleagues, the ministers, are driving made in Nigeria SUVs. Then that is when he would have the moral justification to begin to talk. Like I said earlier, that we've been called into a situation where we no longer talk. Even to talk is not a problem in Nigeria. So what is he telling us about? Let the executive start by cutting down the cost of governance. If they do so, they will now be able, by so doing, to have removed the log blocking their eyes, and they'll be able to see the speck in the eyes of other people.
All right, comrade.
Yes.
You know, talking about these importations, recently, even yesterday, the Navy or what talked about 100 bags of rice. That's it. You stopped importation of food, but we have a Nigerian cars that are made in this country.
Yes.
And at least I've seen entourage of our governor, Alex Oti.
Yes.
With these
innocent.
and then
the governor of Anambra State.
Good. They use this. So, and then we were talking about cutting down, and we are having this.
Yes. You see, it's unfortunate that the man who actually made that comment is one of the 48 ministers. 48 ministers. I'm emphatic. The number is what I'm interested in. Emphatically, 48 ministers in the government that is telling Nigerians that it wants to cut cost of governance, and that to me is insincerity. But before I talk about it, let me say this. You see, if we are talking about innocent vehicles, do you know? I'm not even going to tell you about the fact that by virtue of allowing innocent to build the car, we will reduce cost. We will not only reduce costs, we will create jobs, direct and indirect, for Nigerians. You understand? Because it is when innocent has such contract to produce or to produce 360 vehicles, and don't forget that we are talking about only for the members of the House of Reps 360. Yes. And if you calculate 160 million, that's my own figure. I don't know about your own figure. By 360, that is about 57 billion 600 million naira we are using to buy car.
Just cars.
You understand? Now, if we had given that contract to N130, the people who will benefit are the ancillary tool sellers in Nigeria, the people who, because everything about N130 is locally sourced and locally fabricated in most cases. So it will expand the Nigerian market and then create jobs for people who are not gainfully employed. Then unfortunately we are not doing that. We are importing. Now we've actually imported at a time like this. The same minister talking is a minister who is the national, that's budget and national planning. What is he planning? We are talking about a time when one administration removes subsidy. And subsidy simply means the money they pay in terms of landing costs, lightning costs, jetty, thoroughfare, and the rest of them, even the one you pay in the master and MPE. They said they have removed subsidy. And at the same time, now look at this, see the crisis we're having with dollar. At the same time, they removed the wage on the dollar and floated it at par. Sorry, they removed the wage on the Naira and floated it at par with the dollar. The Naira took a fall. You understand what I'm saying now? The people, the marketers of oil products and other manufacturers who need foreign exchange, which had foreign exchange liquidity, who needed dollar to procure things they need, could no longer access dollar. You understand? And there is financial crisis here. It's even affecting, in fact, inflation is soaring. Food crisis is not letting up. So the government, to me, has not been able to show the direction it is going in terms of economics. And I'm beginning to question Tinubu's understanding, or you understand, of basics of economics, the rudiments of economics. And it's very important to also talk about this.
First class.
And it's very important to also talk about this. If the members of the National Assembly, if they actually meant well for this country, they should be the ones to decline this kind of gift. And there are rumors in some quarters saying that because of the fact that the president, now see, the president 2 times had objected that his certificate, the certificate he gave to INEC, be questioned or be queried. Now people are saying that it could be because the president is sensing impeachment. People are saying this, although it's been the tradition. If you had looked at the interview from the spokesperson of the house, he said it's been the tradition. But we are talking about a time like this when we have over 40% unemployment, 26% inflation, and then things are difficult. People can no longer eat. The same government is saying it cannot be halal. It means the government has no plan. Why will the government also introduce 35,000 naira additional to the salaries of the so-called low workers? You understand? It means the government has no plan. So I am not expecting to see this. What I'm expecting to see is cut down the cost of governance. Let the son and the daughter of president stop flying the presidential fleet. Let people behave like the times we are in, and live according to our means. You see, we are actually borrowing from the World Bank $1.5 billion, and we are borrowing from AFDB $80 million. Whereas there is a story now, a revelation came that NNPC, there is a racketeer of over $4.8 billion worth of products sold abroad, and they were keeping it there. You understand? People have been calling for that investigation to happen. So if it is true, we have this amount of money and we are still borrowing, and the minister is crying. Whereas the government we are talking about is the government with the most bloated structure, 48 ministers, and we are not talking about their own SUVs and the one of their PAs. Then you talk about the one you talk about the ones for directors. You don't talk about the ones for senators. You don't talk about the ones for judges. You understand? And justices. Now you bring it down to on a more civil plane. Now you see that even pastors are buying too. The religious elites are buying, economic elites are buying. So it's become we have primitive consumption, and that is why the culture of consumption is glorified here. The culture of production is thrown out.
All right, our great and wonderful viewers, we are just going to take the last talks from each of them, and before we call it a quit because of our time, Council. From all we have discussed today, the Abia State, and also the minister talking about a financial crisis in the federal government, and yet they can reel up 130 million, between 100 and 200 million for SUVs, 200 million
yes,
for SUVs, and then they are.
And you see, the funny thing is, see the way we are, speculating. Meanwhile, it is in millions, as if we are talking of kobo. As if we are talking of kobo. Is it 100 million or 200 million or 130? No, it's 160. And we're talking of millions that could have been used. I don't know why Nigerians wouldn't say enough is enough and query some of these things. I think it's time that we should begin to hold our leaders accountable. Ask them questions and say, no, we don't want this. See the way you are to go. Somebody tried something in this country at a point in time called third-term agenda. If it had been now that particular nonsense would have sailed through.
Yes.
But Nigerians rose and said, we don't want it. Members of the National Assembly came the day they were to debate. Somebody will get up and say, my view on this is that it should sail through. But my constituents said I should come and say otherwise. And so I have to say their own. Because if I don't say their own, when I get back home,
they will stone me.
Exactly. And so because of that, I will now say their own. They say I should vote against. And I am therefore voting against. We should go back to that era. That is the only way to set this nation on the right course.
All right, comrade.
Okay, thank you. Mine is simple. For people who are interested in the contract, whether there is inflation or overquotation in what has been done in Port Harcourt Road, it is easy. The government will always release papers, and you begin to access. There is FOI requests. You can actually access through. In fact, so even the former commissioner talking, I think he will still have some insiders who can avail him papers. It is even good to talk about it because it is the work of opposition to supervise government so that we know if it was actually overquotation or inflation. But then, all things being equal, coming to the issue of the vehicles, you see, this paints a scenario of an old widow in the village who will travel a long mile, a long distance to fetch water from the river and will return to empty the water inside a leaking container. That's what Nigeria has been doing. You understand? You don't borrow from the World Bank, from IMF, from this to pay salaries and to pay senators salaries. And then if you look at the proposal, the fiscal, the projection of 2024 budget you need for this country, 8.25 trillion naira out of 26 trillion naira is going to debt servicing. 7.78 trillion naira is going to personnel costs and then pension costs. Then 1.3 trillion naira is statutory transfer, the ones where the National Assembly members, where the salaries and everything are embedded. All these things, the budget has not been passed, but the projection is pointing to the fact that where we are going to spend will far exceed what our revenue is. And it's a problem. And I think Tinubu should begin to cut costs. He has no business keeping 48 ministers. You understand? He has no business making all those appointments he's been making, including undergraduates and NYSC people. Those things are not. Those things are not what these times require. Yes, a 24-year-old man who has never had an experience.
I think that
to be the chair of the board of FEMA. You can imagine that. You can imagine that.
Somebody doing the NYSC.
Yes, NYSC. That does not. Do you know what it means to be to chair a board? Somebody has not even been able to manage anything. You are going to chair. So I think Tinubu, I don't know whether he takes this country seriously. He should begin to act.
He is continuing from where Buhari stopped.
It's unfortunate. And then again, it's a problem too, because the reason why the budget is having that imbalance is because now see, Buhari met ways and means advances of the CBN at 786 billion naira or 789 billion naira. He shot it up to 22.3 trillion naira. You can imagine that kind of borrowing. And now they have restructured it, they have securitized it. It's become a federal government bond at 9%. You see the kind of country we have. You understand? So I think yes, he's continuing
for me. I don't understand the figures you're using because I don't want to get angry. I don't want to get.
It's really annoying.
Yes. No, it's annoying. It's annoying because he's continuing from where Tinubu stopped, from where Buhari stopped. You understand?
But that was his.
So he said he will not be borrowing. Now he's approaching the World Bank. He's actually before now he had actually approached the African Development Bank, and then you see,
All right, our wonderful viewers, that is the much we are going to take for today. I am glad that you watched out through the program, and I'm sure you enjoyed yourself and the discussions here. Well, it's unfortunate, we're very sorry that our phone lines were not open within this period. But remember, on Tuesday we'll be back again, and I assure you that you make your contributions as usual. From my far left today is Barrister Chukwemeka Mwago. Barrister, we're very glad to have you here today.
Thank you, moderator, and bye, viewers.
And Comrade Nnamdi Elekwachi, so pleased to see you again in the studio.
I'm pleased to be here. Thank you so much, moderator. Goodbye, viewers.
And this is your comment, Chinedum Adiele, asking you to keep watching Living TV until we come your way again on Tuesday. Bye for now.